Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Carolyn, and thank you so much.
Hello.
So,
Oh, it's evening there.
evening. It's evening here.
Yeah.
It's noon in your time. So, first of all, people are going to join us as we go. I mean, it's with time that people are going to join us. So, first of all, Carolyn, thank you so much for showing up. I know this is not something you usually tend to do, and but again, thank you again for joining us. And I'm sure people today will be able to learn a lot from what you do. It's a very from my from my point of view, it's a fascinating um, you know fascinating niche. I will say
Right.
it's a niche, and it's a niche by itself. I mean, it's a completely it's a huge niche, right?
Right.
So first of all, thank you again for joining us. And
Thank you
like
for
I said,
having me.
yeah, thank you again. And like I said, I mean, we don't have the ambition to cover um, the whole spectrum in 45 or 1 hour. I mean, we definitely, nobody thinks we're going to be trying to become experts in tax deeds or tax certificates. But I think the best will be that if we will be able to achieve today, get a better understanding of what is tax deed, what is tax certificate, what is this niche, and what is this whole field, and what is the potential in it, right? And I think if we're going
Exactly.
to achieve that today, I think that's going to be great, and that will allow people also going forward, if they choose to explore more in it. So that being
Right.
said, Carolyn,
Yes.
tell us a bit. Who you are, what you do, and what how what is your how you what is the relations to tax deeds and tax certificates?
Well, I had a history of investing in land and live-in rehabs that we turned to rentals. But in 2017, I had to give my 18-year-old little brother $26,000 out of a family probate rehab. And I thought, how am I going to get him to listen to me about investing that money smart? And I thought, tax deeds. And I Googled Florida tax deeds. And this $4 Audible book came up. It was Low Risk Investing with Florida Tax Certificates. It's 35 minutes long. And so I listened to it several times and I heard the word lands available. Well, what that is you 90 days after the tax deed sale, you can go over the counter and buy the properties that were not bid on. So I thought, wow, that is so fascinating. And so Duval County, Florida, where I am, is one of the largest counties. So I went and got the over the counter list of deeds, and there were like 700 on them. So I was so fascinated. I did not put that list down, and I just kept researching and researching each one, and you go through, and it's a lot of duds, but I found a great piece of property, and I wanted my little brother to buy it. Well, he refused, so I bought it, and with no idea, I made $55,000 on a vacant lot, my very first one, and I've been a freak ever since. I
So
spent
actually,
about
I'm gonna go. That's amazing, and I'm gonna go a bit back because I know your story. I mean, we go back a bit, me and you. Like I'll share a bit the relationship. I reached out to you like many years ago when I started my journey, and I always try to find different and original ways of getting access to properties. This is where when I ran by tax certificates, tax deeds, and starting to explore it more, I found that you're definitely, I would say, from my and I would say it very firmly, you're definitely an expert in this field, 100%, right? So this is when I reached out to you. I remember I reached out to you and we spoke. I even we met in Florida. Um, Took you to lunch, you and your husband, right? And then ever since, I've been to your house before you bought it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, the farm.
and since then, we managed even doing a couple of good business together. And I look forward also doing it, going forward. So you actually came not from the real estate industry, right? You used to work in the mail post, right? Being a
Yeah,
mailer.
yes, but I have a background in investing in real estate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm just this connection is fascinating. I mean, one day
yeah,
you decided and you wanted to show your how to do real estate investings, right?
little
You wanted.
brother. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you here? Carolyn?
Uh-oh. I lost you. What happened?
I can hear you. Can you see me, Carolyn?
I can see you now. I lost you for a second.
Okay, maybe it was a wrong connection. Okay, so it's a bad connection. So you saw this field in the tax deed, and this is where you know recommended your little brother. Listen, invest in real estate. This is what you should do. He didn't listen, right?
You didn't listen. No.
Okay. So I understand from you that your first experience in real estate was a huge one. You managed making how much was it?
That wasn't my first experience in real estate. That was my
In
first
tax
tax
deed.
deed.
Yeah, in tax.
$55,000 for a vacant lot. I didn't rake one leaf.
That's
I made
unbelievable.
$55,000. It did
You
not
want to
rake
tell us
one
a
leaf.
bit? You
Huh?
want to tell us a bit about this transaction?
Yeah, it was a vacant lot, 4446 Lexington Avenue, Jacksonville, Florida, 32210. Yeah, so it was advertised as $65,000 multi 2 to 9 from the list, but that was wrong. And I would not have known had I not requested a statement because the building was tore down. So it ended up being $7,600 for this vacant lot. And so I bought it and I sold it for $65,000 after doing quiet title. And I had no idea that was going to happen. None.
And where were you? Where did you find that property? I mean, how did you get it? I mean,
The Duval County lands available list. That's a post tax deed auction list that no one bid on them. So you could buy them over the counter without bidding 90 days after the auction. And because Duval County is so large, they keep between 500 and 700 properties that you can buy over the counter without bidding. And I've bought like 10, 11, 12 more of those. The next one was a commercial lot. I brought my son and my niece with us. We paid $10,122. We sold it for 30. You know,
so let's talk
easy.
about.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about this, Carolyn. I mean, first of all, I mean, a lot of us in this field hearing the terms, tax deeds, tax certificates. It's a very sexy term, and that immediately relates to motivation or motivated seller, whatever. Can you explain us what is the difference? What is the actual difference between a tax deed? What is a tax deed and what is a tax certificate?
Okay, well, the municipalities, they have to make their money. So if somebody doesn't pay their taxes for the year, in May of this current delinquent tax year, they will sell your delinquent tax bill as a certificate. And so the current delinquent tax year, the public bids down from 18%. Okay, so pay close attention. There are some of those that get bid down to 18%, from 18% to like 0 or a 1/4 of 1%. So some of those are not going to be bid on also. So those ones that aren't bid on go to the county held batch. So you can research the county held batch, and those certificates pay 18% in Florida, no matter what. It's better than any bank account you'll
So
ever.
hold on, because this is huge, right? I mean, if I get it correctly, I mean, there is a possibility for somebody to buy a tax certificate, right? And
Yes,
make 18% on his
yes,
money.
yes.
Okay, how does work? How can I get it? Where can I get it? How do I get it? How do I find it?
Well, it depends on what county you're in. In the larger counties, they are on realauction.com. Well, where I was duval.florida.realtaxlien.com, and it'll have the county held batch, county held, and those pay 18%. And so it's like from after the May current delinquent year sale, those are available to buy like from June, July till the next year for county held batch, and they pay 18%. But they also have last year's and the year before that's county held. So guess what? You can buy one that's already 2 years mature, and you can immediately apply for a tax deed sale. And then you are the certificate holder applicant then. And you apply for tax deed sale and it goes to tax deed sale. And if no one bids, you win the property. You win the property.
And if
So instead,
somebody outbids you,
you get your 18%. So it's win-win.
it's very interesting. So first of all, I just want to be clear. I mean, we're talking about, the percentage and the 18% and so forth. I mean, we're referring now to Florida, right?
Yes,
So
Florida.
is it nation? I mean, the concept I'm guessing is nationwide, and the differences between the percentages, or?
No, I know Florida. Okay, every state has their own statute. Florida, it goes by Florida Statute 197. But every state is different. They have their own statutes. There are deed states and there are lien states and there are states that are considered hybrid. Okay, so many of the deed states will follow a similar protocol.
Gotcha. So, Carolyn, I just want to understand how the process works better. Somebody, gets late on his payments, right? Somebody owes a house, right? And he's supposed to pay taxes every year, and he doesn't. Let's say he's late, right? So from what point someone can come and buy that certificate? Like, it's, you mentioned also maturity. There's, like, I'm guessing 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, right?
2 years in Florida.
2 years maturity. So so first of all, how does it work? I mean, from what point somebody can actually come in and buy that certificate?
Okay, so 2020 is due by May. 2020 tax year is due by May, right? So April, right? And then it goes delinquent in May, and then the municipality sells your delinquent tax bill. Okay, so then the first delinquent year, the public can bid down from 18%, and usually whoever bids like 0.25 or 0 will win the certificate. I know you don't make any money on 0, but the thing about it is, if you bid down to 0.25, no matter what, you're still going to earn 5% no matter what in Florida. I'm not sure exactly why. I can't explain why, but it's the truth.
So
you're still going to.
Gotcha. So if somebody's late on taxes, let's say after April, is late on 2020 taxes, right? This is the point when the county, right, sells the tax certificates out, right? And people have the ability to bid. They have the ability to bid. Let's say, yeah, I want to buy that certificate, and I'm bidding 2% or 0.5% or 5% or 7%, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's the first delinquent tax year. Okay. So.
Yeah. So
but then again,
I
am more excited about county held certificates, because the majority of the public they're looking for houses, mobile homes, viable living places, viable places that can be rehabbed. So those get bid right away. Somebody's going to own that current delinquent year certificate. But I'm more excited about county held that pays 18%, because I love land. I love demolition property. I love, to me, that's my niche, is land and demolition property. I don't have to go fix anything. I got my group of builders in my back pocket who will buy them from me,
So if I understand county held certificates, this is going to be certificates that nobody actually bid on them on the first round. This is how it works?
Right, yes.
Right? So there's going to be the first round that it goes to the public. And my question to you is, how, when the county allows people to bid, like you said, getting interest, somebody bids 0.5%, 2%, 5%, whatever, how the municipality makes money out of it. I mean, they make money from where? I mean, obviously I'm getting money. I'm making money if I buy that certificate, right? But
you're going to make money. You're going to make money when somebody applies for tax deed on their certificate. It can either be you or anyone else that owns a 2-year-old mature certificate. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to buy their certificate and wait 2 years if it's county held. Sometimes you can find them that are already 2 years mature already.
Got it. So for 2 years mature, it means that, if I'm guessing correctly, that the person is late for more than 2 years in paying his taxes, right?
Right. 2 years or more. Yes.
2 years and more. And then you have the ability first of all, if it's county held, you can get 18% right off the park, right? Immediately 18%.
Well, I mean,
And
you don't get the money immediately, but when it goes to tax deed sale, that's when you get your money, or you win the property if you're the applicant.
Gotcha. So you have potentially 80%, which is being accumulated as you go. You don't see the money, but eventually, once that tax deed will get sold or the property will get sold, this is where you're going to get the money. And how do you get the money, Carolyn? Who pays us the money?
Okay, so when it goes to tax deed sale, whether you're the applicant or somebody behind you who has a 2-year or older certificate is the applicant, when it goes to tax deed sale, you're going to get your 18% when all that's over with.
Okay, so if every year is having its own certificate, this is how it works?
Yeah, every year has its own certificate, yes.
Got it. So let's say I bought somebody's, county health certificate for 2 years maturity. The next guy came after me. He bought the 3rd year, right? Tax certificate, and so forth. So I'm guessing so up to the point that nobody actually forced the sale, right? So there's going to be a lineup of people who that they should be getting 80%, right?
Right. But whoever applies for tax deed sale, they have to buy everybody else's certificate. All of the outstanding certificates have to be purchased by the applicant. So during the application process, say I have a certificate, but I don't want to apply for tax deed. Somebody else applies for tax deed, then I get my money during the application process. But if I'm the applicant, it goes to tax deed sale. Either I win the property or I get my 18% at tax deed sale.
So let's say, at the end of the day, if I get it correctly, whoever buys that, that property eventually, he will need, first of all, to pay out everybody, all the 18% of everybody, and then
yes. So whoever the applicant is, when during the application process, the applicant pays off everybody else who owns a certificate on that property. Yes,
that's the applicant. Even though so the applicant eventually is the one who's going to get. At the end of the day, he's going to make a bid, right? He's going to say, okay, right, whoever one of those people who holds those certificates, he can come in and say, okay, I want to go for a bid, right? He wants to exercise his tax deed and try and get the property, right?
Yeah, apply for tax deed, yes.
Apply for tax. And then 2 things can happen, right? If he wins, right, he gets the property itself. That's option number 1, right?
No, if no one bids at tax deed sale, he wins the property, or he has the option to send it to Lands Available. So it's either or. He can send it to Lands Available and wait for me to go buy it over the counter.
Okay.
Or he can say, yeah, I'll take the property.
Gotcha.
Or if somebody wins it and he don't bid against his own application, then he gets his 18%.
Gotcha. So at what point the other people, if I'm the applicant, let's say this is it, I have my tax deed certificate, I want to, go for it and make a bid, put it into auction. At what point the other people, the other tax certificate holders, they get their money, the 18%? At what point? Only when it's going to go to Land Available, when I actually buy it?
No, during the application process, applying for tax deed, the other certificate holders get their money then, because you're paying them all off.
Gotcha.
And the application process. Okay, but then you have all of their certificates now. So you have a bigger amount of money to earn 18% on, right?
Understood.
Right?
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. So we had a question also. The payoff at the auction is 18% a year above your buying price. That was a question. So I think now we just answered it. I hope. If not, we can write the question again. But at the end of the day, whoever is the applicant, he's the one who needs to, first of all, buy everybody's out, right? All the tax, all the certificates. This is where they're going to get their 18%.
Whoever applies for tax deed, that's part of the process. They have to buy everybody else's. They pay off everybody else's certificate, and then they're the applicant. But they have a bigger bundle to earn 18% on, right? They get a bigger amount to earn 18% on, yeah.
Gotcha. And Carolyn, my question is, it's 18% out of what? I mean, it's 18% of the money I put, or how does it work? It's 18% on what capital? On what money?
18% on the money you've spent to you buy the certificates and apply for tax deed. Yeah, 18% on the investment. Yes.
Gotcha. And that investment is being determined by the county. They say, okay, this certificate is going to cost X amount. How do
yes.
who price it? I mean, how does it being priced?
Of course, the municipality, the tax collector's office, they calculate all of that.
Gotcha. So each certificate is going to have its own price. And Carolyn, the price will be different from a year to year. I mean, the more the maturity grows, the price
it depends on the value of the property and whatever the tax rate is. The whatever you call that in the tax collector office, the you get the bill and it's per annum or something. So whatever the taxes are, yeah, that's what it goes by.
Gotcha. So Carolyn, what's the difference? And again, we understood there is the term tax deed and a tax certificate. Let's try and simplify just to get a better clarity. What is the difference between the two? The term tax deed and tax certificate.
Okay, certificate, you're investing in the delinquent tax bill only initially. Okay, tax deed, you're bidding at auction to own the property, own the deed, or you're buying it over the counter post auction, the deed from lands available list. Gotcha. You're buying the deed. The deed. Tax deed is you're owning the property. Deed.
Understood. And if you buy it off the counter, I'm guessing that this is the point that nobody bought it or nobody managed buying it at the auction, and then it goes to the counter where you can actually come in and buy it, the deed itself, right?
Yes, in Florida, you can buy 90 days after the tax deed sale, you can buy deeds, the tax deeds, over the counter from the municipality, from the tax collector office, for 3 years, from 90 days to 3 years after the sale date. And then after the 3 years expire after the sale date, if I don't go buy it over the counter, the deed, then it becomes county-owned property. It's called escheated, ESCHEATED. And then in Duval County, they take the escheated property and they put it on govdeals.com. And that's just how they do it in Duval County. Now, every county has to follow in Florida Statute 197, but they all have their own way of communicating with the public, their own software, their own websites, their own method of delivery, their own method of selling escheated property. So whatever county that you're interested in, you just got to dig out that information. But they all have to follow Florida Statute 197, which is covered in that little $4 35-minute audiobook that I learned the process from.
Which you're going to tell us all about it very, very soon. And this is actually, whoever wants to learn more about it, I mean, you're going to tell us exactly how one can do it.
Right.
Can you tell us more about, the ways and strategies that I know that this is what you mainly do. You do much more things, right? But this is definitely one of your major expertise. Can you tell us, ways and strategies that somebody can actually make money out of it? We understand one way is, making those 18%, but can you tell us more about strategies, how you make money out of it?
Yeah. So sometimes you'll see the advertised list of upcoming tax deed sales. And so you can go through that list and you can reach out to owners before the auction, and you can try to do a pre-auction intercept, purchase the property. So then it's not going to be a tax deed. It's going to be a regular property purchase. And so I've done that a couple of times. One was a commercial lot. I paid $7,200. I sold it for $15,000, owner finance. Cash flows is $500 a month. Another was a house in Green Cove Springs. I paid $24,000. I sold it next week, owner finance for $35,000.
Not bad. So one way you're saying is getting those auction lists, right? People who properties which are going to go to auction, and what you call is intercepting. It's meaning you're going to try and locate them and communicate with them prior to the auction date, and say, listen, before anyway you're going to auction, what do you tell them? How do you what's happening? How does it work?
Well, I am myself. I'm honest with people. I tell them that they are entitled to the surplus if their property gets bid over the amount of taxes that are owed. I tell people that they're going to get droves of surplus investors trying to get them, to tell them that they can help them get their surplus, but they don't need their help because those companies charge 33%. They do not need their help. I tell them all that up front, and I tell them that I would be interested. Huh?
You mentioned surplus. What is it? What is surplus?
Okay, so that's when the losing owner who's losing the property. Okay, so their property goes to auction, and then there's only so much the county needs to satisfy that tax delinquency. So whatever's over it, the owner who lost the property, that is entitled to it. They are entitled to that. Yes, surplus.
Okay.
And I actually I made a good amount of money letting something go back to auction too. So along with like I said, pre-auction intercepts. Okay, so you have this tax deed platform, Real Tax Deed or whatever. Well, where we are, Duval County, is where I work with the tax deeds mostly. It's huge. So you can take a look at the prior results, prior tax deed results. You can research, who are the heavy players? Who are they? A large tax deed hedge funds who are out of state, and they have been the applicant on 2-year certificates. So guess what? They end up with all of this inventory. So you can research their inventory and you can purchase from them as well. And I've done that a few times also. So for example, okay, so there's one hedge fund actually had a bunch of inventory that they donated to a nonprofit. So I was looking through the nonprofits inventory of donated lots, and one of them was a landlocked parcel, but I did the research on the neighboring owners. So landlocked means that you got to walk through somebody's property to get to it. It doesn't have any frontage, any access road frontage. So I did the research on who owned what next door. So the front owner and side owner was the same person who paid $400,000 for his commercial lots. So this nonprofit, they wanted $750. So I took a chance. I bought it as a deed. And then I hand wrote the owner of the neighboring lots a letter, and he was happy to pay me $15,000. So I've done that. And then there was another one, 2 acres. It was also owned by an out-of-state hedge fund type of, it was 2 acres, and the assessed value was $46,000. So I bought it for $4,500, and I figured, well, it's worth it. I could at least get my money back at auction if I can't make this work. So the city planner said that I needed to apply for a waiver of road frontage. So I thought, well, I can learn this waiver process for future deals, and I could at least get my money back at auction, right? So it ended up that I didn't think I was going to be able to get that waiver of frontage. So I was going to pay the taxes because I bought it delinquent several years. It was already several years delinquent. So now I'm the owner of the property. I'm not bidding at auction. I actually own the property, and I'm the losing owner at auction this time. Okay. So,
and so somebody is now actually is holding your certificates, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I bought it October 29th, 2019. As a delinquent parcel, and I tried to start the application process for the waiver of road frontage so that I could get a building permit and sell it up for 2 acres for a builder. Well, I ended up thinking I was not going to be able to do that. So I went ahead and I let it go to auction, and it got bid up to $24,000 on February 19th, 2020, and I got a check for $18,000 in July of 2020.
That's not bad, Carolyn. That's not bad.
Right.
So that's amazing. I mean, you mentioned 2 things, right? One is that you take the auctions list, right? The upcoming auction list. You see the properties, who's coming up. You try and intercept, right? Communicating, engaging with the owners prior to the auction. and see if they want to sell. That's number one. Second, which also it's a huge takeaway, I think. You look on previous results of previous auctions, right? You identify the major players, right? The people, the companies, the hedge funds, big companies who's buying, a lot of lots and a lot of parcels. And this is, and if I understand correctly, the reason they're buying it because they're looking for returns, right? They're looking for returns on the certificates. They don't look for the actual properties.
Right. They're actually, the primary motivation isn't even the property. It's hedge fund. They love that 18%. I mean, they hire college students all over the globe to just go after that 18%,
So you actually come into them and say, listen, I mean, I want to buy your properties. And they won't mind to cash out from those properties, right?
Right. No, because then they don't have to quiet title. They don't have to clear title. None of that. So I mean,
that's amazing. That's another. That's a huge takeaway. You're giving away all your tricks, Carolyn. Tell us more. What there is any other strategies you use to make money off tax inventory?
Well, I mean, I have been the applicant, and I've won property at auction that I was new to that part, so I got rid of it right away, and I made like 1,100 on one, 1,400 on the next, But I mean, I seldom ever bid at auction. I don't bid at auction, seldom ever, because I really like the post auction lands available list where I can buy the deed over the counter without bidding. I really like to go after out of state hedge fund inventory, of heavy hitters, heavy players in the tax deed, realm there.
Beautiful. Carolyn, just a question. I think just, somebody who doesn't, I mean, if my natural thinking will be like, if nobody bought that certificate in the first round and it just went to the counter, isn't it a situation that nobody wanted it? Well, I mean, or they're missing something that you're seeing?
Well, the majority of investors are looking for houses and viable things that can be rehabbed and lived in, rental property. So they skip over the stuff I love. I love land. I love demolition property. I never have to go open a door for anybody. I don't have to drag my tools to some other place because we do live-in rehabs. We keep our tools at home. Everything I do with taxis, I can do from the house.
A lot of people underestimate dirt, underestimate land, right? A lot of people, like you said, they focus on the houses, they focus on commercial duplexes, quads, whatever. But there is money, obviously. You can tell us there is money to be made also on those, right?
And land, yes, yeah. Yeah, I was investing in land. My first land investment was in 1989. I bought 5 acres for $10,000 on the dirt road. It was a perfect rectangle with perfect even frontage. We had them divided into 5 1-acre lots, and we sold them for $7,500 each, owner financed. This is not tax deed. This was 1989. It was in Clay County, Florida, before impact fees. And then I bought a commercial acre for $17,000, and I held it several years, and I sold it for $55,000, owner finance. Not have to do anything. Don't have to touch the land at all. And then we became accidental landlords in 2004, and one of my places got destroyed. And I'm like, oh my God, land is so much easier than all of this,
For sure. I think it's a bit off topic, but if we're talking about land, Carolyn, how do you comp land? I mean, I think it's more tricky for a lot of people, and we get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions of people, asking, they run by a land sometimes. They don't know how the hell, to price it or how much it's worth. You have any tips for those guys, what ways, tools, techniques, or things they should be looking at when dealing with land?
Well, number one, if worst comes to worst, will the neighbor buy it? Does the neighbor want it? That's the last resort. Does a neighbor want it?
But
you comp it just like you do a house. What's land selling for around? Just like you would a house. I've encountered a program recently last year. It's called MapWise for Florida. It's only Florida. but it shows the flood zones and the wetlands, and it has data downloads that are really great. And can you can pull sales from there. You can, I mean, I don't know how the realtors get the most recent stuff, but I can pull sales from there just like they do. So
Got it. So you're looking
um,
for comparables. You're looking for similar, trying to get as much as possible similar lots in the area sold previously. There's any specific stuff you look at, like, when you approach a land, like you mentioned flood zones, right? Zoning, any other stuff that which in your eyes is a deal killer, like it's a no-go?
okay, so like if it's utility poles, I don't buy utility poles. Land that's got electric poles all over it.
And this due diligence on what we're buying, or we just looking at it on the certificate? You do due diligence on the property itself? I think we're a bit, the connection is not that great. Carolyn,
I
can
don't
you
know
hear
what
me?
happened. Yeah, I'm in the country.
So yeah, the connection is not that stable. You're fading away a bit. Okay, now it's good. So prior you buying those certificate, or the deeds or whatever, do you do due diligence on the properties itself, or it doesn't really matter?
Well, I mean, I make sure it's something that I would not mind owning, if I ended up with it in the application process, if I decide to apply for tax.
Gotcha. Guys, I'm inviting you, whoever, I mean, if you got any questions for Carolyn, feel free writing them down. And as we go, I mean, I'm going to make sure to ask them. And so feel free, whoever has, questions related to this topic, feel free. So Carolyn, we mentioned great ways, intercepting, approaching the big boys, right? The hedge funds, whoever, buying a lot of stuff. How do you approach them? I mean, obviously, how do you know who to talk to?
Just like you would reach out to anybody else in your wholesaler business, you just look them up and send them a letter. I like to send letters. I handwrite my envelope
I
fronts.
know. That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's amazing.
yeah.
By the way, Carolyn, when she do direct mail, she writes her own letter, guys. She writes it by hand, right? You like doing that. I remember you doing that.
Well, okay, so it depends on what's going on. And like if it's a probate, I will handwrite the contents and the front. If there needs to be a probate done, if somebody passed away, I don't look like everybody else in the mailbox, and I don't spend a lot of money on postage. I have a high success rate with my mailers because I look real. It looks
Yeah,
real.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's also a takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on the strategies, Carolyn, we got the interception, we got going to the big boys, we got, the 18%. Also, it's definitely a strategy, right? Making 18% on your money, that's a strategy by itself, I think. A lot of
Yes.
people, it's there's any other ways you do to to be making money from the tax inventory beside this one that people should be aware of?
Let me see.
Again, if
let me go through my list of tricks that I've done. My list of tricks that I've done.
you're going to be sharing all your secrets today.
Let me see. And accidental tax deeds. Surplus, we covered surplus. Pre-tax deduction intercepts, we covered that. Certificate holder applicant, we've covered that. Okay, so the other thing that we're doing, there's one tax deed that we bought that is 2.56 acres, and it has two little houses and a mobile home, and we bought that over counter for $49,000 with partners. Okay, the great thing about this piece of property is that it has 528 feet of frontage on the state road, and it has 330 feet of frontage on the side road. So we did not quiet the title. We held it 4 years, and so the 4 years is going to be July 2021. And within that time, there's a new highway 2,000 acres of Normandy Boulevard is being rezoned to higher housing density. And there's 1,139 new apartments are being built across the street. So we're rezoning that frontage to commercial, and it's going to be huge. The profit
is the land you spoke to me in the past, right? I know this deal, right? This is the one
yeah.
Can I still get in? Can I still get in? Joking.
So that's going to be some rezoning. We have we're going to rezone that, and then we have another one because other than the tax deeds, we have also been doing we buy bank owned or short sale primary residences, and we live there for as long as we want, fixing them up, and then we rent them out. And so there's another one with some good frontage on a main road. We're going to rezone also to commercial.
Beautiful. Carolyn, you mentioned a couple of terms, quiet title and stuff like that. So I think this is going to be our next thing, which you're going to be talking about a bit. So when you buy those, get those when you buy the deed, right? I mean, this is the point that you really care about, the condition of the title, right? When you hold a certificate, it doesn't really matter. But the point that, you come and becoming the deed owner. So this is where title, we start talking about title, right? So tell us, I mean, when I buy the deed, is it the title is it clean? Is it, it can have back taxes, lien? What happens? Tell us about this one.
Well, in Florida, when you buy a tax deed or win a tax deed over the counter, at the auction, you have to either file a quiet title suit with an attorney, which is about $2,500, depending on how many people have to be served in the title history. It could be a little higher. Or you can wait 4 years and it goes quiet. Or if you can find the prior owners, you can pay them, a little bit to sign a quit claim, and it's clear. You can clear it like that. I've done that a few times also.
So there is one option is quieting the title, right? Quieting the title, pretty much taking everything which was in the past, and I'm just summarizing, very simplifying it. Going to an attorney, right? Quieting the title. He's going to clean it up. It's going to cost around, like you mentioned, around $2,500 to $3,000 usually, right? How much time is it take usually from your experience, Carolyn? Is it a long process, short?
Okay, so the first one that I made $55,000 on, we bought it April 5th, 2017, and we started quiet title process, and we sold it December 8th, 2017. So it took several months.
Several months. Got it. But it happens, right? I mean, it's a process that at the end of the day, it takes time. It might take time, but it gets done, right? And when it's get done, you're able to be a clean title. I mean, it becomes a general warranty deed. That's it. It's clean.
Yeah, it's clean. It becomes a warranty deed, right? And but if you can find the prior owners, as long as there's not a huge title history with a whole bunch of junk in it, as long as it's a simple, a few transactions, it's not 10,000 quit claims in the history,
But doing quit claim, if I understand correctly, the second option, doing it a quit claim from the previous owner, it will still means that you're going to inherit previous, bad history on that property, right? You will still take the quit claim means that any back taxes, liens, or whatever, you're going to take it. You're going to take it to yourself as a quit claim, or it's going to be clean as well, or what?
Well, I mean, it just depends. Each property is different. Each title history is unique.
So you need to do your own due diligence, obviously, because quit claim means that if there's issues on those properties, you're gonna be taking them to you. You're gonna take his problem, then move it to yours, right? And then you'll need to solve it anyway, pretty much.
Right. But in the title history, if there's good warranty deeds in the past, usually that's good. Good.
Yeah.
You don't have a ton of quit claims. It's already been through that title commitment process with warranty deeds. You see?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And the third option is waiting for 4 years, right? 4 years since the time that you bought the deed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And after 4 years, if those 4 years have passed, this is where
it's clear. In Florida, it goes clear after 4 years. Yes, too. That's 3 ways to clear the title in Florida. Yeah.
Gotcha. Beautiful, beautiful. I think there is a great question. Someone is asking is, what are the cons? What can go wrong? What do you need to be careful when doing this? There's any things that somebody should like really pay attention to? How, you know?
Okay, so municipal nuisance and demolition liens. So in Duval County, they have a great program to get rid of those. And so often people, the general public, they're afraid when they see a lien, they're like, oh my God, no, I'm skipping that. Well, if you learn the county what they have, the options that they have to get rid of those, you're skipping over something of a high value if you
Yeah,
don't
but
learn
let's say
that.
for a newbie, obviously, somebody who's, let's say this, most of us, Carolyn, as you know, we're virtual, right? I mean, we're not, being on the ground and knowing the small nuances and being able to step into the municipality and solve those issues, that's awesome. But, for a newbie, let's say for a newbie who is not local, who wants to try and get into the game, I mean, there's any like, stuff they should be careful from? I mean, like, the don't do's, like you mentioned liens, right? Liens is something that somebody needs to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So, certain liens that are not going to go away with a tax deed, like IRS has a certain amount of time that their stuff is not going to go away, but they have to republicize or re-record the lien within a certain amount of time, or it's not good. So every different government lien has their own rules. So you got to learn all that. And
Gotcha.
yeah.
So you're saying beside liens which are related to the property itself, there can be also other liens which are like federal liens, like
Department of Revenue, IRS, you know, like if somebody goes to prison, whatever that is, victim compensation, something or another. Certain things you just got to be a little careful about, and you got to study each one and find out what the consequence is, or how it can be remedied. I mean, everyone has their own way, of every lien has their own way of remedying it.
Gotcha. So for somebody who wants to, I mean, Carolyn, somebody, like, going back to the question, which I think is good. I mean, I want to try and get into it. Like, from your experience, what can be, what should we pay attention to? What should I be really, really careful of? Like the big nose, like,
Okay, here's one other thing that you should be careful of with pre-auction intercepts. If there is a bunch of missing probates in Florida, I'm talking about Florida now. Not every state is like Florida. Florida's a probate state. If there's a bunch of missing probates, it's going to cost you a lot of money to fix that, and you better not buy it pre-auction. You need to get that as a tax deed if there's a bunch of missing probates, because when people die, siblings die, but they've got 17 nieces and nephews to notify with Florida, so no, if you got a $10,000 piece of land that you're trying to intercept, and then you find out there's missing 1, 2, 3 generations of probates, you get that as a tax deed. You do not try to intercept that.
Yeah, and you're going to be pretty much wasting your time trying to actually intercept it, and it's going to be crazy.
Now, if it's a really nice house with a lot of equity, or there's several properties involved, you might can afford to do that with the probates, and you can intercept that pre-auction.
Got it.
But so the tax deeds, it clears the probate stuff, but during the quiet title, that part of that has to be addressed too. So you just got to be careful with a lot of generations of missing probates. You got to be careful.
Okay, somebody mentioned also HOA liens. I mean, this is something which is also something that needs to be paid attention to.
Okay, HOA liens do not survive a tax deed sale. They do not.
Okay.
Not in Florida. Not in Florida.
Gotcha. So once you buy that,
the HOA might try to enforce it, but they do not survive a tax deed sale.
Gotcha.
Not HOA liens.
So if you buy a tax deed, like off the counter, if I get it, so if there was any previous HOA liens on those, they're gone. That's it.
They're gone. The HOA might think they can still get it, but they can't.
Understood. Okay, if there's any more question, guys, feel free posting it. Carolyn, um, for somebody that wants to start, and obviously this is a huge field, right? I mean, this is an expertise by itself, right? And I think the question that someone asks, what can go wrong? I mean, obviously there is a lot of stuff to look at, and this is somebody that needs to go into and study it very well prior to getting into it. How can somebody actually start? Let's say I want to, I'm very interested in this niche. I want to learn more about it. I want to try and start be active. How can one start? What can one do?
Well, I can only tell you what I did. I listened to that $4 35-minute Audible book many, many times over, and I learned my local opportunities here, and I learned, what can you do with municipal demolition liens and nuisance liens when the city has to go mow the grass. I learned all of that here local. What's available to me, what programs are available for the liens.
So one thing which I understand from you, first of all, you got exposed to this, $4.99 audible. I remember also you sent it to me in the past when we spoke a couple of years ago. You said, first thing you need to hear this, right? And then you sent it to me, and that's amazing. It definitely gives, shed light more onto it. But I say it again.
Yeah, and I'll have I will say this about that little book. The lady who wrote it, she worked in a Florida tax deed office most of her career, and she's not really an investor per se, but she writes her own Audible. She writes her own fiction, and she voices her own Audible, and she voices other people's Audibles for them. So she put Florida Statute 197 on an easy to understand format, Audible, and she published a little book. With it. So here's what I love. Here's my favorite thing. She doesn't give you little tidbits and then try to sell you the rest. She's not an upseller. She's not an investor with a upsell webinar. She just gives it all to you, point blank, here it is. That's it. It's education, period. I love that.
Where can we get it? Where can we get that audiobook? Where is it?
It's on Audible. It's on Audible, Low Risk Investing with Florida Tax Certificates.
Gotcha. So afterwards, I will put the link as well. If you can send me the link, I'll make sure it will be posted in the comments. So whoever is interested afterwards, hearing it, buying it, can get access to it. There's any other recommendations that you can, obviously a lot of people, I'm going to be in Florida and some are in different markets. There's any authorities or any information that they should be looking at, trying to study the local rules, what's going on, what they should do?
What would you do? Whatever state you're interested in, you have to just look up their statute. What's the statute for each state? You got to start with their statute, and you're gonna find there's a number of other tax deed expert people who are upselling their webinars. You're going to find a lot of that. Some of them are good, and some of them are, okay, they're in it just for the money, just for they're selling education. They give you a little bit, and then they sell you the rest in a webinar. And then they sell you the 2 weeks, and then they sell you the 6 months.
Gotcha. We got somebody in Tampa, so he's happy. Whoever is in Florida, they win big time. I mean, because definitely, first of all, they get to know you. They get to know. I think we got really, really good takeaways today. And to the next question, I mean, Carolyn, if somebody wants to, approach you or ask questions or get, more active into it, how can somebody do that?
I have a Facebook group. It's Northeast N.E. Florida Tax Deed Investors. I would appreciate questions in the group so that I'm not wearing myself out one person at a time in my inbox. So join the group and ask questions in the group. That would be the best way.
Got it. And we'll make sure as well putting the group in the comments, so whoever wants to join and reach out to Carolyn, I think from experience she will.
Right, and I don't get a penny for promoting that $5 audiobook. Nothing. The lady should be charging a lot more.
There's no place for affiliation. It's $4.99. Carolyn, how much she can give you? I mean, this is it. It's $4.99.
I've made so much money just learning what she put out there. So I don't want it, but she should be charging more. she really deserves it. So I highly recommend that audiobook. I recommend listening to it a few times and pay very close attention to the terms county held certificate and lands available list on top of the obvious tax deed sale. Okay, because those other ones are just as important: county held and lands available.
Beautiful, beautiful. Carolyn, I would like to thank you again, really, for being with us. I think definitely I learned a lot again, and it's always every talk with you is fascinating, and I learn more. And there's so much. It's huge. It's huge. I mean, it's a huge thing, and every time trying to grasp and get a better understanding of things. So again, thank you so much. Whoever's watching us is going to say many thanks again, Carolyn. It was great having you. I know, obviously me and you, we stay in touch, and whoever wants to reach again to Caroline into the group and learn more about it, you guys have the audio book, and you can join Caroline group. Caroline, again, thank you so much.
You're welcome to. Do you want me to send you the link to my group and the audio book, and then you can post it however you do?
Yeah. Send it over, and I'll make sure it's going to be in the comments of this video. So anybody wants to join and buy that audio book is obviously they're going to do that. Thank you again, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.